Welcome back to another PowerPoint VBA tutorial. So in today's video, we are going to be talking about how to take PowerPoint tables and copy them over to Excel. So we saw a similar topic using Outlook VBA, and we saw that we can take table objects that exist in an email, copy them, and then paste them into an Excel spreadsheet. Now, what happens if we have tables that are currently in a PowerPoint presentation? Because sometimes, you get presentations, they have data inside of them, and some of that data lives inside of a table. So how do we take those tables and copy them over to Excel so that way we can more easily manipulate the data, or in some cases, create a larger data set from it? So that's what we're going to be covering in today's video. Is we're going to show you how to take these different tables and copy them over to an Excel spreadsheet. And then we're also going to talk about in the video after this, how to take the slide content, things like the header, content placeholders, and stuff like that, and put it inside of a Excel spreadsheet. So very useful if you're trying to quote unquote scrape different PowerPoint presentations. Now, to get started, we need to go to our developer tab that is currently on our ribbon. I am assuming that you currently have it enabled. If you do, then you want to go over to your Visual Basic icon, click it. This will open up the Visual Basic editor, at which point we can create a new module. So you click the modules folder, right click, go down to insert, and then module. We should give our module a name. So we'll call this PowerPoint, table to Excel. And I'm going to give mine the name video at the end. Okay. Then from here, we need to do one additional thing before we start writing the code. And that one additional thing is we need to enable a reference library. With the reference library, we're able to control the object model from the host application, in this case, PowerPoint. What object model do we want to control? Well, Excel. We want to take our content from PowerPoint and then dump it into an Excel spreadsheet. So that means we have to go and tap into the Excel object model. To enable a reference to the Excel object model, you will go up to Tools, down to References. Then from here, you're going to see a list of available references that you can enable. Now, I already have the Excel 16.0 object library enabled. However, if this is the first time you've done this, you're not going to have it. So you need to scroll down to M for Microsoft, then to the E section, and you should see it somewhere right around here. And once you see it, you just want to make sure there is a check in that box. That means it's enabled, and then you can leverage it inside of your code. From here, we can then start creating our new subroutine. So we'll call this export multiple tables from PowerPoint to Excel. It's a long subroutine, but it does the job. Then from here, we're going to declare our variables. So we're going to create a new presentation object. So we're going to do dim ppt pres. Then we are going to do dim ppt slide. This will represent a single slide inside of our presentation. And then we're going to also want to work with shapes. And so in this particular situation, we're going to grab the shape object. So we're going to create a new variable called ppt shape. And then this will represent a PowerPoint shape object. Additionally, we're going to also have something that's regarding a table. Now, technically, when we go and paste the table, we don't actually have to go to this level, but I want to kind of show you if you wanted to access some of the table information as you were copying, then this would be a nice way of referencing that table. And then you could do things like look up the name, for example, and say, oh, I only want to take tables that are named a certain way or something like that, something to make it a little bit more dynamic. Now from here, we're going to declare our Excel variables. So these are going to be specific to the Excel objects. We're going to obviously need the application. And so in this case, we're going to do excel.application. Then from here, we're going to do a book. So we're going to do a workbook. Well, that's going to be excel.workbook. Next, we're going to have a sheet. Now, this one is going to represent a worksheet. inside of our workbook. So notice how I'm just going one layer after the other. Then from here, we will be pasting it into a range inside of our worksheet. So we're going to also declare a range object as well. Okay, so then from here, the first thing we need to do is grab the presentation that we plan to export. So let's grab the current presentation. So this is considered the one that we currently have open and we're kind of interacting with. So I'm going to set my PPT Pres object equal to the PowerPoint application. Keep in mind, it's the PowerPoint application. And then I'm going to go to the active presentation property. This will return the presentation that I currently have open in PowerPoint and I'm interacting with, the active one. Now from here, once I have this presentation, I'm going to go into the next step, which is basically either opening up the Excel application if it's not currently open, or if it's currently open, grabbing the active instance. So this is also another part that we're going to make dynamic. We're going to assume one of two outcomes. One is that the application is open and we just want to grab that active one. The other option is if it's not open, then we're going to create a new one and then add a worksheet to it. So I'm going to get the active instance of Excel if it's open. So the other thing I'm going to try to do up here is, because an error might arise as we're trying to grab it. So if we're trying to grab the active object and it doesn't exist, then we get an error. So we're going to put this little line right here, which is keep going if there is an error. Okay, so I'm going to say on error, resume next. Then from here, I'm going to set the Excel app equal to get object. I'm going to do path name as blank, and then I'm going to do the Excel.application. This is the program ID. So this will allow me to use, by using the program ID, to grab the active Excel object. And then from here, if Excel isn't open, we will get a 429 error. So if it's not open, we're going to get an error and we're going to check to see if that error is 429. If it is 429, then we know how to handle it. So we're just going to wrap it in a if statement. So we're going to say end if. Ooh, not that. There we go. Then from here, I'm going to put some space so I don't have to constantly keep jumping around. Then from here, we're going to clear the error. So I'm going to say error.clear. Then we're going to create a new instance of the Excel app. So I'm going to set the Excel app equal to a new instance of the Excel application. We want to make sure it's visible. So just because we have a new app doesn't mean we can see it. So we're going to make sure it's visible. We're going to do that by taking the visible property and setting it to true. Then from here, we're going to add a new workbook. So I'm going to take my Excel app and actually, no, I'm going to set my Excel book object variable equal to my Excel app. I'm going to go into my workbooks collection and then I'm going to do add. So I'm going to add a new book and then I'm going to add a new worksheet to the new book. So I'm going to set the Excel sheet equal to Excel book. We're going to do not work identity, worksheets, and then we're going to do add again. So again, we're just setting all of our object variables. Okay, then from here, what we can do, so this is assuming that first it wasn't open. If it was open and we want to grab like the active one, so in this situation, I already have a workbook open. I'm going to say, hey, I want to take the name of that workbook and then also grab a sheet from it. So this is just one way of doing it. This assumes that you know the name that's already on the workbook. Technically, you could even make it more dynamic by saying, oh, I just want to grab the active workbook, right? So I'm going to set the workbook if the if the Excel application is already open. So I'm going to set Excel book equal to Excel app. I'm going to go into the workbooks collection Now from here, I already have it open. So I'm going to say export from PowerPoint to Excel. So just imagine for a second that maybe your code somewhere up above opened an existing workbook and you want to reference that workbook by name. Well, this is how you would do it. So this is saying, hey, I'm going to open it up and I'm going to grab it. Now, technically speaking, once you open it, you would have a reference to it. But this is just assuming that you know what workbook is already open and you know the name. If you didn't know the name and you just want to grab the one that the user currently is in, then you could even do the active workbook like that. So there's different options. You just kind of have to decide which one works best for you, but that is an option. Then we can also set the worksheet. Now inside of my workbook, I already know the sheet name. So I'm going to set Excel sheet equal to Excel book. And then I'm going to do worksheets. And then I'm going to do table underscore export. So that kind of does it for the Excel part of it. So now we can start going through the part where we want to loop through each slide, then loop through the shapes in each slide, determine if it's a table. If it is a table, then copy it and then make sure we paste it in the right destination inside of our sheet. So the first thing we're going to do is loop through each slide in the presentation. That's step one. So we're going to say for each PPT slide in, PPT slide in PPT Pres, and then I'm going to do the slides collection. Since it's a for each loop, I'm going to put next at the end. And then I'm going to say, okay, I'm going through each slide, then what? Loop through each shape in the slide. So I'm going to say for each PPT shape in PPT slide, there is a shapes collection. Congratulations, that's the second collection we need to loop through. Then from here, we are on a shape. We're going to ask a question. What type of shape am I working with? So if the shape is a table, then continue. So I'm going to say if PPT shape, there is a property called type that will return the type of shape that you have. If this equals MSO table, so Microsoft Office table object, then we want to do something. So if it's a table, then we want to do something. I haven't defined what I want to do, but I am saying, hey, if it's a table, I want to do something. So first, let's grab the table object, and then we'll say using the table property. So this is just to show you if you wanted to grab the table itself and say get more information, then this is how you would grab the table object. However, when it actually comes to copying and pasting, we don't need to go down this low. But if you wanted to get more information because your code requires it to be more dynamic, so maybe you need like a table name or something like that, then this is how you would grab the table object. So we're going to say PPT shape. And then from here, you'll notice there's a lot of different shapes it could be. So you could even have even more dynamic, has table, XYZ, all sorts of different things. Media format, model 3D, OLE format. So there's so many different things it could be, but let's just assume that you wanted that table. Oh, I put the there, that wasn't smart. Okay, then from here, let's copy the shape. So I'm gonna say PPT shape, and I'm gonna do copy. Then from here, I want to start working with my Excel range inside of Excel. So first thing is I'm on the worksheet that I need. So I have my worksheet. I want to grab the last cell. So I want to basically grab the last cell in like kind of our range. So what I'm going to do is it's basically like I'm going all the way to the bottom, and then I'm going to go back and I'm going to see what cell I hit first. Once I hit that cell, I want to create a reference to it. And then I'm going to go one row below it, or maybe I think it's two. And then from there, I'm going to paste it. So I'm going to go and grab the last cell in the worksheet. So this is always something we have to do a lot in Excel, is grabbing the last cell, right? So we're going to set the Excel range equal to Excel sheet. We're going to go down to the range property, and then we're going to say A, and then just pick some really astronomical large number. So we'll just do 100,000, and then I'm going to do end, and then I'm going to do Excel up. So that will take me to the last cell. Okay, then from here, I need to handle a situation where if it's the first cell, then I need to make sure I do an offset. Or sorry, if it's not the first cell, then I need to do an offset. So handle the loops that come after the first paste. So let's see what's going on here. So if the range that I'm currently on, if that address does not equal A1, that means we are not on the first cell. So if we are on the first cell, we're going to do something different. But if we're not on the first cell, then what we're going to do is we're going to offset by 2 rows. So I'm going to say set Excel range equal to the old Excel range, call that offset method, and then go down 2 rows, but 0 columns. Then from here, you can paste it into the sheet. So we're going to say Excel sheet paste. We're going to use that destination argument, and we're going to say the destination needs to be that range. Okay. And then the final thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to clean up my worksheet, make it look a little bit more presentable. So set the worksheet column width. So I'm going to say Excel sheet. I'm going to go to the columns collection, and then I'm going to go to the column width, and I want them all to have a width of 20. Then I'm going to set the worksheet row height. So I'm going to say Excel sheet. I'm going to go to the rows property. I'm going to go to that row height property, and I'm going to set that to 20 units as well. And then I'm going to set the horizontal alignment. So it's to the left. So I'm going to take the Excel sheet, go to that cells collection, set the horizontal alignment, and have that equal Excel left, and then turn off grid lines. And I'm going to say Excel app, and then I'm going to do active window. I'm going to do display grid lines, set that equal to false. Man, it is getting cloudy outside. It's so dark in my office right now. It's raining, so lots of stuff. Okay, so that's everything. So we're going to see how this works. Ideally, like I said, we're going to be able to see the output. And then I'm going to set this here. Let's run it. Actually, I will debug it first just to make sure there's no glaring issues. And, oh, it froze. Uh-oh. It's always freezing. I don't know why it always has to freeze when I have to go through this. Okay. Hold on, I might have to do the task manager and then turn it off. Oh, it must be raining right now. Okay. No, this should be fine. Let me make sure if I have it in here. Ooh, it's not in there. Let me put this on my desktop, and then hopefully I can open it. Okay, so let's check this, maybe. Okay, so that's not doing anything either. Don't tell me we lost it. Oh, that's so frustrating. Oh no. Well, let's do this because this is the old code that I had. So we're going to assume that this will work. I'm going to try it. So that's what it was supposed to do. So this is what it was supposed to do. I think on the previous one, it just errored out. So this is why I always save it before I record my videos because I know something like this would eventually happen. But ideally, I hope you're kind of seeing that it's doing kind of what was similar in the previous one, which is it's going to take each table and then copy it and then put it in here. And the nice thing is if you use this regular paste method like this, then it tends to work pretty well. I do also want to note that the only thing that's really changed since that previous video, the previous code was I just changed this, so worksheet to just that. So that's all that was different. But other than that, it's literally the same exact code. Now, obviously, some of it needs to be updated a little bit, but basically, it's doing exactly the same thing. So again, you would just specify that last row, specify where you want to paste it, and then just paste it there, and then do some formatting stuff over here. So it's doing something very, very similar. And again, if you were to run this again, it's going to do the same exact thing, but now it's just going to put those tables down below these ones. So this is kind of neat too, where it's kind of smart, where it's like, oh, okay, it's just going to keep adding and adding and adding. That way you're not having to pull your hair out over it. Okay, so with that being said, I am going to cut off the video. So if you have any questions about copying PowerPoint tables over to Excel, feel free to put those down in the comments below. Otherwise, we will see you in our next video where we take slide content and we do something similar, which is we're going to export it to a different presentation. So thank you again for watching, everybody. We will see you in the next video.